Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. My name is Katelyn from Florals.com and welcome back to part 3 of my craft room tour. Today we're finishing up the in-depth section. If you've not missed the overview and the in-depth section, which is part 2, highly recommend watching those first so you're not as confused and your questions might be answered in some of the previous videos. So let's just jump right into it. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss future videos and make sure you go back and watch those. But let me show you guys the rest of my craft room. We left off in my vertical calyx unit over here. We had just made it before the ink section, so let me come down here so you guys can see what I'm talking about. This was a big game changer in terms of my ink organization. My ink collection exploded because of my addiction to buying them, so I needed a larger solution. Luckily I had this. Now it was storing a lot of my paint, but thanks to going through all of my paints, figuring out which ones were actually dried up, which ones didn't have a lot left, I was able to consolidate my paint so I could also store my inks in here. Before we go into this actual container, it is by Sterilite, we do have a couple things on top. I currently have this Stampin' Up pad that needs to be put away, so that's okay. Then I have two stamping platforms, the Tim Holtz one and the Stampendous one, which I will say I love both. I prefer the Stampendous one, but I do keep them both around just in case I need to stamp multiple projects. I also have this little cardboard here. Essentially, it's supposed to set up for any sort of mixed media you want to do. So if I was using a mist, I would set this up so I capture the mist in here instead of on my desk. I also have a couple notebooks here for planning materials. Just all the things. And then we can move into the drawers. So the top drawer is actually my small ink cube storage. It's where I also keep my distress oxides right now. And of course, like my mixed media in part 2, I also have a swatch section for my inks. Now this is not fully up to date, but it does help me at least a little bit through the ink mess. So I actually have 2 layers of inks in here, but I do store all of my ink in here. That is the mini variety. So I have Lawn Fawn, my favorite things, distress inks, archival inks, ranger inks, all of the things in here. And they're all notated here. When I do update it, I try to update it properly, but it goes through and they're all labeled so I can make sure I know what I'm talking about when I do pull one out, so I have an accurate swatch. And these are all done on Neenah paper because that's traditionally what I stamp on. I also keep my long block in here. It's just more convenient because it doesn't fit in my other block storage. The second drawer actually hosts a lot of my larger inks underneath the paint palettes, as well as all of my paintbrushes. So I have some ink blending brushes in here, some foam brushes. I used to do a lot more painting. That has since subsided, but helpful for mixed media for sure. Use a lot of these things for that, but all sorts of larger stamp pads go down here, and these are also on the actual stamp swatch sheet, which is really exciting because they're all in a general same area, so it's nice to have a swatch right there of everything I own. Then this is my consolidated paint section. It is very heavy, so I'm not going to pull it all the way out, but it also includes paint pens. So my Sharpie paint pens are in here. So I have all sorts of paints, Appleberry, Americana, Folk Art, all of them live in here. And again, I do painting occasionally, but that's where my housing of that lives right now. Moving over to the right-hand side here, we're almost done with this calyx cube, is where I keep all of my smaller paper pads. So these are 6x6, 6x8s, even have some matte stacks in here. This is just a normal shoe bin. That's traditionally where they are. It's actually in closet organization. This one in particular was on clearance because it didn't have a lid, and I said, well, I don't need a lid because all of my 6x6 fit in here. I did downsize and try to use up a lot of my 6x6, so I only had one bin. As you can see, it's a little bit overflowing, so I need to get cracking on some of these. But I do have one 8x8 paper pad, the pet stack. If any of you guys still have this, please let me know in the comments down below. It's an oldie. Does it have a year on it? No year. It's got to be like 2008 maybe. But I need to know if anyone else still has this because it is so cute, but I haven't used it all up yet. But this is where all of my 6x6 and 6x8 go. I do also include loose 6x6 papers in here. They're way in the back somewhere. I know it's a little dark back there. There's a storm rolling in, but essentially I try not to buy more 6x6 paper pads until there's more room. They're not organized in any rhyme or reason because I'm pretty sure I could name all of the 6x6 paper pads I own. Most of them are smaller brands like the ones from Recollections and Michaels and Joann's and that, but a couple of designer paper pads in there. Some smaller businesses like Pretty Little Studio, Echo Park's back there, so it varies, but for the most part I do know what I have, and that makes it a little bit easier to drag this tote out, flip through it really quick, and then put it right back on the shelf. These blue bins have been in my room forever. My mom got them for me at Target one year, and they do not make them anymore, but they're very, very nice because they're a great size, and I really like that they stack and fit perfectly in this particular unit. But I probably haven't opened these for anything in a very long time. In fact, they used to store my large ink pads, so large ink pads like these would go in here and they fit perfectly, but now we still have some large ink pads, so these would have been swatched already, but these are actually my color box. They're very, very tall for what they are, so I do keep them separate, but I don't come in here very often. I have my mini Versamark in here. Stampin', oh, that's a vintage Stampin' Up! One. We got all sorts of fun stuff in here. That one is very hard to close because there are older drawers. Here's where I keep my Post-it notes and my punch mat, as well as my punch needle, and some other metal tools like some additional tweezers depending on what size I need. Pins, more of these rings, again, great for storing certain stickers like in part 2. Then we have markers and my water pens. I don't ever really use any of these older marker types, but they're nice to have, especially if I wanted to have sort of a, maybe like, my little cousin doesn't come over anymore, but if she were, she would like to use some of these markers more so than some of the other stuff I think's more my style. So I like keeping them around in case I do have somebody who would need something like that. And then up here we have, this is actually something I've been wanting to try. It's called Dove Blending, but I do have more additional glues in here, some refills, my adhesive eraser, all sorts of fun stuff. This is actually from a collaboration, so I have all sorts of sticky notes everywhere, but these little blue drawers have been great. Again, they were from a Target office collection, but I really, really like them. They've come through on multiple occasions, but that is all for this particular section of the Calyx. So we're going to move down to the bottom section now. I apologize, this just sticks a little bit. Okay, we got it closed. I know that would bother some people. So I have more of these bins. Again, these bins are from Amazon. I like them. They're on the cheaper side. My cats like to scratch them. I prefer cheaper when it comes to something the cats want to scratch. In here is the heaviest drawer I own, and this is where my punches live. I got my crocodile, punches down there, punch board back there, my fuse tools in here. I do keep my foam in here because I do need to replenish it quite often, so this is my open section. It can go in the heaviest bin because it is the lightest item. Same with my other twines. I keep these pretty close by because if there's a tag that I want twine on, this will be where I go for it. Oh no, my leaves are shedding. Put them back in their little baggie. Lace in there as well, so just some random fiber art items because, again, lightweight for such a very heavy drawer, and that's also why it's at the bottom, because it is so heavy. But my newest addition, which I got for my birthday, is my Mickey punch, so thank you to Kelly for buying this for me. I can't wait to use it. But that's that bin, and that bin is officially a workout for me. So moving on to the last portion of this Calyx unit, which I know this is just flying by, but this is where I store my 12 by 12 paper pads. So before this rearrangement, I had my Calyx cube actually facing a different way, which makes sense for the way the actual 12 by 12 paper pads are facing. I wish they were facing this way so I could see the front of them because this is traditionally the direction I'm looking at them in, but they do all face this way, which it happens. Sometimes we make organizational mistakes and we don't want to fix them. But I keep all of my paper pads upside down, which means the adhesive does stick to the shelf quite a bit, but it also means my scraps do not fall out. So for example, if I pull out one of the ones I've used recently, this one has scraps in it. I can see them because I have them here. So I put all my scraps for my paper pads back inside themselves, usually in an 8.5 by 11 page protector, but in some cases they're free. So I want to make sure all of my paper pads are upside down. Now to keep these standing up, I actually leveraged my Arteza markers into here. So these are Arteza markers similar to the Zigs, but I keep them in this organizer. I used to have a lot more 12 by 12 paper pads. Again, purging, using up, etc. has led me to needing a wedge in here so that way they all stay standing up. Similarly to how I keep my stickers standing up, I also use thick cardboard, which happens to be my watercolor paper. So I use these intermittently throughout the paper pads here to keep them, again, standing and upright. And this one actually has some loose back here. And this is why it's not a perfect craft room tour, because things don't always go correctly. So as you can hear, that's actually hitting that paper pad back there. See, this one had a large piece next to it. So one thing that happens to all of my paper pads, an insider tip, is they fall apart. So I use binder clips like these to keep them together. So once I get those all put back, we'll have a perfect craft room again. But I don't have any rhyme or reason for organizing these because this is all that I have. I pretty much go through the whole stack or already know what I want. So a lot of watercolor paper again to help keep it standing up. And then you can just kind of flip through, slide them in and out a little more easily when you have two hands. But since I only have one for this particular vlog video, we have to make do. But that's generally how it works. I'm going to put these back and then we'll move on with the rest of the tour. Now that those are all put away, we can move on to my loose 12 by 12 paper storage, which is over here in the corner. Not the ideal placement because of the sunlight that comes in through the windows, but I try to keep one I don't care about on the top so I don't have to worry about it. These are not as organized as they probably should be, but I keep my craft cardstock and black cardstock at the top here. These were my bulk buys. Then I have individual cardstocks beneath that, neutrals, colors. This was a random stack, so really whatever you pick out you get. Specialty papers, so I have some pearlescents down here, some variety of vellums, different specialty finishes on these ones, for example. And then we get into color coding. So we have pink up here, and red, orange, and yellow. I could split these out, but there's really just so few that I don't need to. Greens, blues, not very many. Purples, 3, not that many. This is actually multicolored. This blue one's on top because I do have duplicates of it and I cared less about it, but I'll put that one back for the sake of this video. These are the really multicolored ones that I wasn't sure where to put, so those all go there. And then again, these ones are more like need to be sorted / neutrals. Again, putting one that I have a lot of on top so that it doesn't get damaged from the sun. Then we move into these 12 by 12 Pink Fresh Studio ones. Just some collection kits. Need to be sorted. These were a kit, but they now need to be sorted out. Then we have some Creative Memories papers. These are not a traditional size. These are 10 by 12 inches. Still not sure what to do with all those. These are the extra 8.5 by 11 cardstocks I have that don't fit in my actual magazine bins. And then this is actually a new paper pack I just got, so I put it down there so it'd be out of the sun and safe for a little while at least. Over here you'll also notice in the poor lighting that I have from, again, a storm moving in, I have this cutting mat and I have this cutting mat. I prefer to use this one. It's a little less beat up than my Martha Stewart old one is, but I do keep both in case of a crafting emergency, what be it. Who knows what'll happen, but I do keep both around and at the ready. Then on my stand over here with the ledge of the window, my empties for the month so I can film my empties tour, my journaling pens. These bins again are from Target, like I mentioned in the other section. These came in a set of 3 for $5. Great deal, honestly. A little notepad, and then this is actually it's just an album that fell apart that I'm trying to put back together. So that was a good buy. I'm glad I bought it and it fell apart. We're not going to really acknowledge the in-depth of my everything bin, but this is basically new stuff I bought that I have to deal with, as well as stuff I'm donating. I know it doesn't make sense to be in the same bin together, but it works out well when I need to clean out space. Here's where I charge my batteries, where my actual lights plug in, all that fun stuff. And now we can move over to the desk section. So we'll start underneath the desk because we don't want to get too crazy and start with the top of the desk. This Sterilite container I've had very, very long time. You guys actually might remember it from my craft room back in the day at my parents' house when it held my CD cases of stamps. Does everybody remember when we used to store stamps and CD cases? What a time. But this is actually like a go-to for a lot of different products. So if I just give you an overview here, my large stamp block, we got Zots of different sizes. I do a few inks in here that I try to use fairly often. Then I have more adhesives, refills, painter's tape, destaticizing stuff, post-it notes. Is it organized? No, but that's what makes this a more realistic craft room tour. The second bin, we actually have my stamp chamois. These are like the knockoff Dollar Tree ones. My Ranger mat, foam, in case I need to pop anything up. Thicker aligner, watercolors, some alcohol swabs to get stays on off of things. Stays on. Stamp cleaner, wax paper down there, guillotine cutter, all sorts of fun things in that one. And the last one, I actually have to shimmy it so you guys can actually see into it, is my Nuvo Drops modeling paste. And in the very back, we have enamel dots. So I open this drawer actually fairly quite often, but it's hard to put something so close to the bottom that it doesn't need to be used all the time, but it is used quite often. So I'm glad that that worked out well. And this slides right under my desk. I also keep foam adhesive right here because there's not a lot that fits here, but I'll also keep my trimmer here when I don't need it on my desk. So moving over to the other side of my desk, as you can see the cat toys are in the background, don't mind those. We have a couple things going on top of the organizer. The first thing is this bin, and this is just a 12 by 12 iris container full of doilies and tissue paper, and I mean full, it is quite full. There's a lot of reflections going on, but I use this quite frequently, so I do keep it on top of here. And then this tote actually is my scrapbooking creative memories tote. I don't travel to scrapbook hardly ever, but when I do, it is very convenient because it can hold 12 by 12 paper, which is very hard to find in a bag. But this actual unit is from Jessware. It is a brand Joanne's used to carry. I don't think it's available anymore, but it was advertised as a craft organizer, and it has several drawers. The first thing is you can organize them however you want. The drawers do come fully out, so you can organize these thin ones however you'd like in whatever order you like, but some of them do come with dividers. So the first couple I just have normal stuff. This is my vintage drawer. Occasionally I go in here. Then I have my use it up drawer. This is where there's only a few stickers left in a pack. It'll go in here to hopefully live out its days to be a completed item in one of my wrap videos. The third one is all my 12 by 12 stickers and chipboard, which really isn't that many. I actually went through a really big phase of buying those a while back, and now I'm still trying to work through those. Then we have our first divided drawer. This actually was part of a kit. The kit has been dismantled, but this part has not. I really should dismantle it because it's really old. As you can see, some of these are actually rusting. We have some rusting flare, which is so sad to see, but that's what happens when you use metal products that are not capable of lasting a long time. But it is nice to see all sort of the divided drawers so you can see what you could put in here. Wood veneer, etc. More washi tapes that I continually forget about. I should really file those away. Then we have an actual drawer for a collection. As you guys might have noticed, I actually don't have many collections, hardly at all. I don't buy in collections, that's not how I scrapbook, but I was gifted a lot of the Magical Forest collection from a lovely friend, and so I decided to get some 12 by 12 papers to go with it. So the collection's in here, and it's the only drawer that holds a collection like that. This is a junk drawer. It's hard to divide things out when you already have a lot of your stuff divided out, so I don't really have a purpose for this drawer yet, except for stuff to get stuck in it. But it's good at that, so we keep that drawer like that. And then I do have a project here on the floor. I often keep stuff on the floor, so it's a good day when there's only one project on the floor. So I'm going to scoot that out of the way so I can show you the bottom set of these drawers, which are locked. So these have locking mechanisms, which means you can host a lot of stuff in it, but it means you do have to take it fully out so I could show you what's in it. So this top one's actually Halloween. So you guys will probably be getting a Halloween product tour soon. I love doing it every year just to show you guys what's different, what I've bought, what I've used. And I'd like to use a lot more of this year. So if you guys are interested in seeing Halloween cards, Halloween projects, let me know in the comments down below. But it is the season here in the United States. So that one's Halloween. They're very heavy because I do have them packed with product. But it is nice that they lock up so I could store these on their side. For example, if I was traveling, I could grab just my Halloween stuff and bring it somewhere. Then we have a Christmas embellishments and a Christmas paper section. This one just happened to work out this way because I do have a ton of Christmas paper and a lot of Christmas embellishments. So those are the bottom two. Now, what I will say is when you fill this up, when you try to close the bottom one, the latches do catch. But I don't think they sell this unit anymore. But overall, I would recommend it. It actually has dividers on the top section as well, just to set things in. But it's such a low unit that I usually stacked things on top of it in all of my previous tours anyhow. But that is my overview of underneath my desk. Now we're going to move on to my second craft cart. So as you can tell, the top of my craft cart is where I primarily keep most of my day-to-day crafting tools and items I reach for quite often. So here on the right-hand side, I actually have a Totally Tiffany organizer. I think it's called her Stadium Riser. I keep my adhesive, my water bottle, tweezers, palette knives, mister, gel pens, cutter bee scissors, hole punch, all sorts of writing utensils, my Tim Holtz pick, my anti-static pouch that I can't use because I don't have anything to anti-static yet. Scissors, markers, Stella Wink brush pens, pliers, and my rulers are way back here. But that's where I primarily keep everything. I also have my tiny attacher, my tacky glue, and these bins are actually from Michael's. They just help organize anything really. Notebook punch, some clips from the Dollar Tree, iPhone holder, microphone holder, thread, adhesives, corner rounder, and then I have this beautiful artwork. It says, "Life is as colorful as you make it." Love, love, love that. I'll have it linked down below in case you guys are interested. And then we have this conglomerate over here, which is really just holding certain things. I got some phrase stickers I need to put away, some tiny type, and then a bunch of photos I want to scrapbook. So I have a bunch of these ready to go. They were sorted at one point. It looks like I might have hit them, so they're less organized, but that's okay. So we have some cat pictures ready to be printed or ready to be cut and put onto some layouts. So overall, generally I'll wheel this towards me if I really need a lot of stuff off of it, but otherwise it'll sit to the side of my desk and I can reach everything I really need very easily. Moving down to the second category, most of this is envelopes on the left hand side. I also have all my shipping tapes over here. So I've got some holiday one. I don't know why I have mustaches or why I have daisies, but duct tape can work really, really well in certain scenarios, so it's nice to have. Over here, all of my envelopes. I have a ton of envelopes, so they all pretty much take up this whole unit. I also do have some card bases up front, and I also have a bunch of card pieces I want to use in these 4x6 photo cases, so you can kind of see them down there. Occasionally I'll get like stickers or something, and I'm like, well, that would make a cute card, or I color a particular image. It'll go in one of these bins. I also have a couple full of larger embellishments that I don't think would work well on a scrapbook page, but could on a card. And then I also have some kits in here. So like this one particular is a Ranger letter it kit. So it has stencils and glitter and things to use in it. So I kind of keep my 4x6 kits in here with my envelopes just because it's easier. This is usually blocked from when I'm sitting at the desk, so I don't like to keep important things in here because I usually can't reach it. Now, if I actually turn this cart, I have a similar setup to what I shared in the second video of my tour, but I actually keep my phrase stickers on a binder ring similarly, just hanging off this side of this cart. Now, this particular cart's actually a Walmart knockoff of the IKEA Roscog cart, but they all work the same in my opinion, so just be careful of whichever ones you use. And again, don't use binder rings that are very old like I am. I'll probably switch it out for one of the other ones that are in my bin. I just open this one a lot because I use my phrase stickers a lot, so I'll be sure to switch that out. But we can move to the bottom shelf now, which is actually sort of like just a surplus zone. Over here on the right, I keep my ATG refills that I order from Tape Jungle. Photo paper, photo paper, photo paper. Ink is actually back there as well. I do still have CD cases. Now, I talked about that earlier, but I do still keep some empty CD cases just in case I need to store something that way. So those stay down there. I actually have this gift card holder. I want to actually take the measurements of it to remake it and see if I can make some out of my own paper. So I have that. And then I have some albums back here. So some traveler's notebooks and then some chipboard albums. So really a surplus zone. Again, I don't often reach this area, so it works out well to just store things that I don't need very often. Now, we have already talked about my desk quite a bit in the first episode, but I just wanted to reiterate that this is an IKEA table. It's actually from their dining room collection. I like how wide it is. However, it does not usually work for filming. So you can see here I have an extension arm. It works pretty well. The lighting in my apartment's not great right now because there's a storm rolling in, but overall my desk is very messy. I wasn't about to clean all this up just to ruin it again. I'm in the middle of a project. This one's from Patreon, but I am working on some other stuff, so I wanted to keep it all out, keep it going as is. But generally on my desk, I do keep my ink and my Lawn Fawn stamp chamois, photos to scrapbook. Everything to like the left of this point is pretty much out of frame, so I like to keep it for my piling purposes, like all my new stuff that I was just hauling for my patrons. These were from hauls earlier this year on YouTube, all sorts of fun stuff, and that's just how it works. I usually keep my ATG gun on my desk, my trimmer, and it works out really, really well. And then interchangeably I bring up my cutting mat, so I have somewhere to do mixed media or anything that might involve glitter, anything like that. It might be a little bit more messy. So overall, that is my craft room. We've gone over all of it. I can't believe it. It feels like it has been so long since I filmed a craft room tour. And again, if you guys have not watched all 3 parts, if you missed part 1 or part 2, check it out in the comments or check it out in the description down below. But I hope you guys enjoyed coming along. I have already mentioned this, but this is not all of my craft supplies that you guys have seen in these 3 videos. I do store a little bit other places. My finished albums are actually in my bedroom. I have additional craft supplies like DIY supplies, hot glue guns, things like that are actually in my living room in similar bins to what you've already seen, but just wanted to give you guys an overview of it one last time. But I hope you guys enjoyed coming along with me. A 3-part room tour is a lot more than I used to do, but it is a lot of stuff in a little space, so hopefully you guys feel inspired to organize. If you have any questions at all, leave me a comment down below. I'll try to link all of the furniture and organization supplies that are still available for you down below. But a lot of this stuff, besides the actual furniture, has been with me for a long time. So I'm really happy to have held on to so much and to be able to use so much of the stuff I've already had for such a long time. Because you don't need fancy things. None of my organizers match. I've got blue ones, black ones, metal, plastic, fabric, all sorts of stuff, but it all works out in the end as long as it's a nice place that you can focus in on your crafting. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys again so much for watching. If you did enjoy it, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already, because there will be more fun videos coming soon. But I know it's long awaited. I know so many of you guys have wanted to see what my space looks like. If you're interested in more behind the scenes, in more of seeing my craft room, my life, check out Patreon. I'll have it linked down below as always, because I do post behind the scenes videos over there again, as well as printables, sketches, inspiration, more layout videos, and whatever else comes to mind. But we'll end by showing you guys again my vintage Disney record collection. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.